Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So let's take a look at the two brand new espers in greater detail, and we're going to take a look at all their numbers as well. So Intisar and Nuxi, who is the new legendary shimmer type. So we're going to start off with Intisar here, and we're going to go through all of her skills, and we are going to look at her in the R6 version. And don't worry about it, I'm just going to guide you along the way, which is what is her R2 and what is her R6 as well. So Intisar, she is the fighter flow type esper. Let's take a look at her stats first, which is over here. So at max level, she has a very respectable 1244 attack power, which is really good. And she has a pretty decent base speed as well, which is 103, which I think is kind of like on par with Sora. So I do feel like they do overlap a little bit in terms of how they generally perform. Obviously, they are different, okay? Obviously, they're very different, but it's just something that I noticed. Anyway, she looks really nice. I feel like whatever that she has going on over here is very interesting, and I like the design a lot. I like the fact that there is a beigey tone to the skills on her little snake head piece over there. Okay, so anyway, let's start off with her first skill, Code Exploit. Attacks one enemy, deals 120% attack, 80% chance of inflicting miss rate up for 2 turns. Okay, very standard. And this is a R2 effect. When without stealth, you launch a pursuit attack with your third skill. This is very powerful. I feel like this definitely makes her very enjoyable to use, especially if you have her at R2, which I will test her out at R2. This I can promise you. Now let's take a look at her second skill, Trojan Horse. Attacks all enemies, deals 85% attack, which is not a lot of damage, but the fewer the enemies, the higher the damage. I'm not sure how this scales. I'm just gonna assume that it scales up to about 200% if there is one single enemy left, which then makes this skill a little bit better as a single target nuke. But on top of that, enemy debuffs plus 1 turn. So you extend all the debuffs except for stuns and freezes, which is pretty decent because she has a lot of debuff on her kit as well. She has miss rate up, she has attack debuff, and she has defense break. Now at the start of combat, she gains stealth for 2 whole turns. 2 turns. This is really good. And he also has a really short cooldown of just 3 turns. Now moving on to her third skill, this is Transmit Virus, right? Which is what her first skill can launch a pursuit attack with if she is without stealth. So, grants all allies attack up for 2 turns. This is her R6 version effect. Attacks one enemy twice, deals 100% of attack. I'm not sure whether is this 100% one time or is it 100% times 2 because it hits twice. I believe this goes up to 200% because this is a single target attacking skill, or at least this is the part that does single target damage. So I do feel like this is 200% attack and inflicts defense down for 2 turns. Next, you attack all enemies, and the damage that you deal is 50% of your attack, which means you do 250% onto one single target and 50% onto everyone else, and you inflict attack down for 2 turns. So this kit alone makes her really good for Chronos in my opinion, including the miss rate up over here. So she's going to be very powerful for Chronos, which also in my opinion is a very big problem, and I'll explain why in just a bit. Then you gain stealth for 3 whole turns. I nearly wet myself. Now if Intisar has stealth minus 1 turn, so I think it actually reduces your stealth by 2 in total after you finish your turn. If not, it normally wouldn't say this. And by doing so, this deals an extra true damage, which is 15% of the target's max HP and 3% against bosses. And some of you guys might think that, oh, it's just 3%, right? But let me tell you what, okay? Let me tell you what. 3% on Chronos is 30,000 damage because Chronos has 900,000 HP. Think about that for a second, right? And this triggers 1 time per turn with the final damage going up by 10%, which is her R1 effect. And then finally, she has an increased allies crit by 25%, which kind of sucks. But the reason why I say that her kit being so good for Chronos is a problem is because they have no intention whatsoever in nerfing Chronos back to the way it were. They have no intention of making Chronos accessible by just having 3 and 4 star espers alone. Their intention is for players to have legendary espers so that they can perform said function in beating Chronos and to collect relics along the way. So that is their long-term goal. That is whatever that they're planning right now, which is extremely cash grabby. Don't get me wrong. I know exactly when things are cash grabby, and this is definitely extremely pay to win. So they're creating a problem and selling the solution, and a big deal that I have with this is relic farming is an early game content, or at most mid game content, right? If you want to push it a little bit further, at most mid game content. So instead of creating new content that requires certain espers, they have decided to revamp all existing content and making it a little bit difficult for players to progress. And in turn, they want to sell you the solution over here, which is selling you Intisar, which is probably one of the better choices against Chronos right now. Because like I said, she has miss rate up, she has attack debuff, and she also has the defense break. And on top of that, right, she also has this extra kit over here that does 30,000 damage to Chronos on this effect alone. So Dislyte has been around for like what, more than half a year, and one of the biggest problems that no one actually talks about is that there are no collabs whatsoever. Well, fortunately for all of us, we can still get our collab gacha fix with an up and coming major collaboration between Awakened Chaos Era and Attack on Titan. So Awakened Chaos Era is a fantasy card strategy game very similar yet unique to Dislyte, as it strikes a western style theme laced with fancy graphics and even fancier characters. And this is what I love the most about the game, by the way. Just look at all these husbandos. Anyway, Ace will be having an Attack on Titan collaboration from 11th to 24th January, so there is no better time than right now to be prepared for the massive collaboration underway. There will be many Attack on Titan themed adventure stages, server-wide missions, other special events, as well as a time-limited opportunity to face off against the one and only Colossal Titan himself. So take this opportunity to join the survey call in an epic battle that you never had. Daddy approves! But if you're a true husbando enjoyer like myself, then get hyped because Eren the Attack Titan will be free for all players by just simply logging into the game. So not only is he husbando material, but he is also a tasty treat for all the meta slaves out there. I can't wait to destroy all the other plebs by using his limited time freebie. As a massive Attack on Titan fan, I cannot emphasize just how much I am in love with his design, and I am enthralled by how well he fits within the realm of Awakened Chaos Era. However, if you're too cool and too edgy for the best boy Eren, then don't worry about it, the game has got you covered. So you can also get both the silent emo duo Mikasa and Levi within the gacha as well. So 3 new units from one collaboration, that's crazy dude. Wait, but you think RNG is going to be a problem? Use the code ACETITAN to get 10 advanced summoning crystals for free. But wait, just between you and me, I also have another secret code ACEAOTC for 500 diamonds, 3 advanced summoning crystals, and 5 3-star pumpkins for all new joiners. So let's start 2023 on the right footing and join me in my quest to beat the Colossal Titan. So what are you waiting for? Awaken your inner hero and attack on Titan. Use my link down in the descriptions below to get ahead of the curve. Thank you so much to Awaken Chaos Era for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you guys in the game. So that's it for Intisar. Let's take a look at the other new Esper, who is Feng Nuxi. Alright, there we go. This is White Sienna, and oh my god, I did not know she has snake legs. Wait, what? I thought she had normal legs. Well, this is a complete surprise to me. Oh my goodness, this is very interesting. So we have 2 new snake waifus. One is Intisar and one is Nuxi as well. Wow, I'm actually very surprised about this. Very surprised. I like this a lot because there is also the white snake deity in Chinese mythology, which I'm not sure whether is she the one, but this is very interesting indeed. Okay, so let's take a look at her max stats, and yes, obviously I was keeping an eye out on her speed, and obviously she has one of the best speeds in this game, 105, which is one shy of the top, which is Una's and Gabrielle. And of course Clara as well, but we're not going to consider Clara because she does not have as much speed gains in her ascensions, but I'm looking forward to knowing just how fast she can potentially be with the ascensions. Anyway, let's take a look at her skills, right? So this is Shape Humanity, attacks one enemy, damage is 5% of her max HP, which is okay. So this is not a lot of damage, but the enemy's AP minus 20% with a 100% chance. This is a 100% proc. Can you imagine that you have Espers like Tia and the sisters who have an 80% chance of proccing this skill? And she has 100% right off the bat, especially since she is also a Shimmer type. Now when Paper Talisman is active, you steal 1 buff, and this I believe is the R2 effect. Anyway, attacks 1 more enemy per Paper Talisman stack, then Paper Talisman plus 1 stack afterwards. So there is a cap of 4 stacks, and this I believe is after the R6 has taken place, which means that originally you are supposed to lose 1 Paper Talisman stack whenever you get hit, but that's no longer the case at R6. Now moving on to the second skill, this is Soul Transmute. Select one ally to reset all of their ability cooldowns, so just pushing everything to 0 cooldowns right now, but it doesn't affect herself. Now grants all allies speed up for 2 turns, and when she has Paper Talisman, each Paper Talisman stack grants all allies AP plus 6%, which means it goes up to 24%, and ability cooldown is not affected by any abilities. Okay, so I feel like this should still work with Ocean Waves, because Ocean Waves is not an ability, very similar to Anki Chai for example, and I think very similar to Ahmed if I'm not wrong. Let's take a look at Ahmed just real quick, right? Okay, so this is Ahmed's third skill. This ability's cooldown won't be affected by any abilities. Yes, okay, so this skill cooldown will not be affected by, let's say, Anki Chai, but it can be affected by Ocean Waves, which means Feng Nuxi on Ocean Waves is actually legit. This is actually possible. So just pay attention that she gives all allies 24% AP here, and then now looking at her third skill, Summon Whirlstone, attacks all enemies 4 times. Damage per hit is 1.5% of her max HP, and each hit dispels 1 buff from each enemy, so she dispels 4 buffs. She is immediately already better than Tricky in this case, and each buff dispelled grants AP plus 5% to herself. Now each of the last 2 hits extends all enemy ability cooldowns by 1 turn, and then you give yourself 4 paper stacks, which is, this is insane dude. You steal 4 buffs and you then extend all enemies ability cooldowns by 1 turn each hit, which is like 2 turns, right? So essentially, she's a much better version of Bonnie, but assuming that she steals 4 buffs from like 5 enemies, right? So that's 20 buffs. That is an instant 100% AP movement. Obviously, that's not going to happen most of the case unless you're up against an Abigail, but if that does happen, you're going to go straight into your second skill, and you're instantly going to push the AP of all of your allies. But let's not forget that if you're using her in PvP, right, there is a good chance that if you're slower, you're going to get hit. And if you do get hit, what happens is your Paper Talisman is actually going to push your AP by 20%. But that's assuming that she has Paper Talisman to start off with, which I do not think that she has. So I'm going to KIV on that thought. Anyway, let's end off with her Captain ability, which is increases all allies' accuracy by 40%. This is okay. I feel like this part is okay because accuracy is indeed useful in some specific situations, especially if you are running certain DPS espers and you do not really need the speed lead, you just need more accuracy to land some of the debuffs. Like for example, running espers like Louis and maybe even Ophelia, for example. But yeah, so these are the 2 new espers over here. And obviously, if you want more information, you can just go to the Echo, you can just click on Esper Overview, and you can just select the brand new esper. So for example, let's take a look at Feng Nuxi here, right? You can even see her probability, which is 0.0117%. What the hell? But anyway, this is like her standard form, her R0 state. So what you notice is that the Paper Talisman here, right, is a little bit different than her R6 state that was showcased in the Atlas. So when taking a hit, consumes 1 stack of this status effect to gain 20% AP. So that's about it. Anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section about these espers. I feel like they are pretty good, alright? I'm going to change my opinion about them just a little bit. So in terms of Intisar, I feel like she is not as exciting as I first thought she was when we had the patch notes. Now that I'm taking a look at her numbers and all of that, I feel like she is going to be very good for Chronos, and I feel like that's probably where she shines the most. But in terms of other content, I'm not so sure just yet. I know she's going to be quite relevant in the Dark Starlord. That's for sure. 100% guaranteed. Really good for Dark Starlord because of the miss rate up and the attack debuff. But as for Feng Nuxi, she is definitely still on par with my expectations in the past. And I do feel like she has a lot of potential moving on in the future with like all kinds of content. So she's essentially an Unas 2.0. Okay, maybe not say an Unas 2.0, but she's another esper that scales very well with Unas, because Unas doesn't have the speed up, and Unas can do with a lot more AP pushing that Feng Nuxi is able to provide. So this is really insane. Alright, so that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, don't forget to give a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been Derek Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video. And thank you so much to Ace for sponsoring today's video.